Well, hello there, friends. Welcome, welcome. Cody here. So excited, as always, to connect with all of you. I just received so many of your amazing, wonderful questions. This is going to be a channeling session. Okay, so I will open my channel and we're going to channel some of your questions that you asked over on the Divine Creators with Cody Saying Facebook group. I posted about this channeling Q&A that I will be doing, and many of you left questions, so I appreciate all of you for exposing yourselves in this way. I know it can be so vulnerable sharing these parts of yourself, especially in a public group like this. Actually, this is a closed Facebook group, but it's still a community of people. There's still a lot of people in there, and I know it takes a lot to share that. So I just want to first say thank you. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for being respectful. And thank you for just the quality of your questions. I can already feel the energy of many of these questions jumping out at me. Okay, so a couple things that I want to get into before we jump into the questions is that once I am opening channel, I am tapping into my guides. Okay, so the guides are already around. You might feel vibrationally their presence around, assimilating, gathering, converging with my consciousness, Cody, so as to sort of cooperate and connect to you all in a way where we can dovetail the information that they are providing me with in a human sort of digestible way, okay? For you guys to understand, for it to assist you, or for whatever way this is meant to speak to you, okay? The intention is for the information and for what is shared in this video to be of the highest benefit and highest good of everyone who participates in this, who chooses to join and be a part of this energy. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all tremendously. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to jump right into these things, into these questions here. And it's just, it's important to know that these guides are vibrational, right? So as I speak, it's not just the words that they are guiding, right? It is where they're drawing my awareness to, what questions are jumping out at me, which questions are illuminating at me. It pops out like a pop-up book, right? When we're tuned into that frequency guides us, right? That vibration, that energy guides and inspires us toward the questions that match most closely to that vibration that we're being introduced to, that I'm being introduced to, that I'm a medium and a channel of, right? So we use this energy to guide the duration of this, okay? And we will definitely dive into things. I have a feeling this might jump into a lot of different topics of conversation as well. So perhaps there'll be quicker questions. I actually haven't looked directly at these questions yet because I just like it to be fresh. I don't like any sort of bias in my mind. I just like the guides to come in and just tell me which questions to zone in on, which one to focus on, and which ones they believe will be of highest benefit to the most amount of people, okay? So that's usually how this works. This is law of attraction, okay? So you set an intention, and based on the intention, you vibrate at the vibrational frequency of that intention, thereby making your awareness tuned into everything that is a match to that vibration, okay? So because this frequency is the frequency of healing, of empowerment, and awakening, a lot of the questions are going to be around this. It's also the frequency of fun and joy and enthusiasm, and they definitely want me to convey that as well, because they're not just a standing vibration that just emits information. They are the frequency of joy and love and enthusiasm and bliss and harmony, okay? How would you define those terms? If I were to ask you, how do you define harmony? How do you define love, right? I mean, love is such an accepted term in our society, yet you can't even touch it. It's not even tangible. It's not even fully rational by society's standards, yet we completely buy into it. There's so many different things that are indescribable that we accept, right? That we accept as a part of humanity. Well, we have to understand that this is vibration and this is also consciousness. So when you tune into love, when you tune into the vibration of harmony, there is consciousness there and it is flowing and it is actively communicating to you. Yes, the vibration of love and the vibration of harmony and bliss, if you tune into it, it will speak to you and it will guide you, right? It will invite the consciousness of love to whatever issue that you have, whatever issue that you are drawing love into the equation of will illuminate that perspective with love. It will help you to see that issue from the perspective of love, okay? From a blissful point of view, from a harmonious perspective. It will allow you to see it with more clarity and with more light and less restriction and friction and resistance, okay? So the idea is to understand that, again, when we are tuning into our spirit guides, when I'm tuning into this, okay, they are in a higher vibration. So what are the highest vibrations? The highest vibrations, highest vibrational frequencies, the energies that vibrate the highest from an emotional point of view, is the vibration of joy, the vibration of love, bliss, right? These emotions, happiness, right? Peace. Okay, so when you are resonating in these higher emotional states, you are in a higher vibrational state. Your energy is vibrating at a higher frequency, and what that makes you is closer a vibrational match to the frequency that your spirit guides vibrate at. So what does that mean? It's sort of like a radio, right? You are close to that frequency, so you're going to pick up feedback from your guides that are constantly speaking to you, okay? So understand it first from a vibrational sense, and then it will expand. When you tune into them, when you become used to understanding your guides' vibration, it will expand. And what's going to happen is you, as a transmitter that you are going to you are going to translate that information through your brain, your human brain, and it will provide you imagery that is oftentimes unique to you in interpreting the energy that they are delivering to you, and that's what we call channeling, okay? That's if we debunk and demystify channeling, that is what it is, right? And I like to explain it from this place first, because when you understand it from this sort of foundational level, that's where it begins to expand, and your awareness of it begins to expand as well, okay? It begins to deepen. But you have to sort of understand it from a grounded point of view first. It's too much of a vibrational jump to kind of think of it in this fantastical way, right? Where people just think it's an extraterrestrial that's sort of jumping into your body and communicating to you. You know, we're all doing it at some point or another, and it's usually the point where we release the most resistance. Oftentimes in the shower, right? We're relaxed enough for that energy to be received by you. You know, you are relaxed enough. Sometimes it takes a crisis for us to like realize what we've been holding on to be like, okay, you know, how many times has like a crisis happened and then suddenly clarity came to your mind and your brain so quickly that you didn't even have the capacity. You can almost sense the chemical movement in your brain, you know, when crises occur. But sometimes you do enter a fight or flight mode where all of a sudden all the resources and tools that you've acquired in your life and even before your life genetically will be summoned to you, and you're able to access that because you've released resistance, you've cleared your mind in that one instant. Okay, so that's the idea, first and foremost, is raising your vibration. That's definitely a message that they want to be clear here in the beginning before we start, okay? So I am going to see here what questions are jumping out, okay? So I am opening up the Facebook group, and we are just going to channel some of the ones that jump out first, okay? So, this first question is from Hannah. Okay, she says, "Hello, everybody. Can somebody actually tell me if there is anything attached to me or if I've been psychically attacked from someone? I am asking because some hours before, I really felt this eerie energy that spooked me out a lot." Okay. And I know it's not mine, but then I doubt my feelings a lot. So I wanted to ask what is going on, if anyone has any clue or sees anything, or am I just imagining it? I tend to be like a sponge and I struggle with boundaries a lot. So I don't know what is mine and what is not at times. I think that's extremely relatable. That's the first thing. It's very, very relatable. There's a couple of things that we want to kind of jump in here with. Okay. And thank you so much for being so vulnerable in this question, Hannah. I think I can already feel how many people are hearing this and just understanding you and identifying with you. I think a lot of people in communities, especially in new age communities, believe they're being psychically attacked. So that's the first piece that we're going to talk about first, okay? Psychically attacked. Before that, I do want to say, because you do have your photo here. So I'm watching an attachment, and this attachment is in your field, right in sort of this part of your field, like in your, it's over your right eye and over your head, okay? And it's sort of like an energy attachment. It's a leech, and that can give the impression of, yes, feeling like you're being psychically attacked, feeling like your field is open, like there is something sort of leeching at you. You will be able to kind of detect and feel when there's something in your field that doesn't quite belong. This is an important thing to kind of be aware of. What you need to understand about leeches, energy leeches, and anything that any sort of attachments like this is the reason why they are attached to that part of your field is because that is a point of weakness in your field. And you have that as a point of weakness in your field because of your emotional composition, because of a belief system, because of trauma. That's usually what it is. It always is trauma. Okay, so there is a traumatic situation or traumatic theme in your life that has caused you to have a very chronic negative belief about yourself that causes you to not feel safe, okay, not feel safe in your body. You feel vulnerable, okay? This is like the sensation, just like you physically vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable, low energy. Well, I'm just going to be automatic writing here a bit. So if you see me jotting things down, I'm just allowing the energy to flow and just writing down everything that they're telling me to write down. So, and then I will relay the rest to you, okay? Okay. Uh, I hope I can read my handwriting when I come back here. Okie dokes. So, Hannah, the message that I'm getting for you is, so this is, I want you to just extend empathy. I do see and what they did tell me and what they're guiding me through here. Okay, and so this is definitely a time where you feel extremely vulnerable, because this is definitely a time of depression for you, a time of sadness, low energy, melancholy, depression. Okay, this has been a very challenging, very kind of difficult period for you, right? You've been feeling very bogged down by the world, by problems, by life. Feels like a million bricks on your head and on your shoulders. It just feels like moving takes energy sometimes. It feels like the smallest tasks feels like so much work sometimes. And you look around and you're just like, how do they function like that? How does so and so function like that? It can make you feel like you are in like a glass, container, and unable to connect to the outside world or connect to other people. There's a lack of connection to other people as well, okay? And this can stem from trauma involving where your inner child interpreted this experience as loss and or abandonment, okay? So this chronic thought has, that your inner child, when we experience trauma, your inner child, okay, we understand in psychology, is stuck in that scene of your trauma. And that is why you still experience anxiety and symptoms or inflections of that experience in your body to this day, that may be related, to that time, maybe, and why we have dissociative qualities, dissociative moments, where we're checking in and out of our primary consciousness, right? And back into the thought stream of that inner child who is traumatized, right? Who is scared and who's lonely and who is afraid and abandoned, So when you're triggered, you're essentially tuned back into the thought stream of that inner child that is still stuck there, but fragmented from this version of you here and now. And that's why you sort of have to dissociate in order to start, in order to reactivate those thoughts from that past self, from that inner child. So there's an inner child that wants connection, that wants love, right? That wants to be seen and that wasn't able to be seen, wasn't given that opportunity, maybe surrounded, right? Surrounded by people who were unable to provide that level of presence to fully see the capacity of you and your mind and your heart and what you have to offer. We forget sometimes, and it's not our jobs as children, to teach the adults around us, right? How to take care of us, how to nurture us, how to have emotional intelligence and attune to a child, children shouldn't have, that should just be what children have, but unfortunately that is not the case. Unfortunately, you, for example, were somebody whose needs were not met in that specific way, in that specific nuanced way that your inner child needed, right? In that moment, as a child, you were abandoned, you were emotionally malnourished, and that has stuck with you, and it has sort of manifested, literally manifested, as this point of weakness in your auric fields, okay? And points of weakness are vibrational frequencies in your field. It's important to know in your auric field contains your past, your present, and your future. It is timeless, it is multidimensional, it is not just here and now. So it does possess your past. People who are, psychically reading, sort of like this in a way. I don't like to use the word psychic, just energy reading. Psychic almost gives like an impression of like, you know, grandeur, and it's almost like harder to reach. But I like to make it easier to understand. And when we see, in your field, we can see your past, right? Because your past, specifically trauma, you know, it's going to remain in your field as a either point of weakness or a dark spot, which is more of a chronic dark spot, right? It's more of a chronic point of weakness in your field. So you're not quite there yet, but what's good is you're aware of this point of weakness. Sometimes what happens with people is they're unconscious of that in the first place, or they're not aware, they're not emotionally aware or schooled in emotions enough yet to understand that their pain matters, their feelings matter. They don't even know that the idea is to process your emotions fully so that you can be in the present, right? So that you can, and being in the present, what does that mean? That means being able to enjoy your experience here and now, being able to enjoy your nephews when they come over to visit. Being in the present moment means being fully available to someone who wants to connect to you in that moment, who's having a sacred moment with you. You can connect to them fully in that moment. You can connect from your heart space. Being present just allows you to fully show up, right? For people, for yourself, for your life, for what you enjoy. It allows you to enjoy what you enjoy more, okay? So that inner child of yours is just looking for someone to see them and to understand that she is not alone. And I have good news for her, because there is just such an immense community of people who do connect with that same story or that theme in some way or some form. Work on understanding, work on just recognizing that inner child in you and her feelings. Speak to her, nurture her, right? Because she is emotionally underdeveloped, because she didn't complete that experience as a child. So what you need to do is parent that part of you. You have to show them now, because although that inner child who is very, very young, may not know how to parent herself or process this emotion, you do as an adult, right? And I'm looking here because I have your photo here. So you do know how to do that. So what you can do, because it is a fracture, is you can take your consciousness here and now and actually offer love to that part of you, okay? One thing you can do, if you don't want to like fully regress into that, sort of baby steps of this, is one, just becoming aware of this theme, which you are right now, right? This is a good thing. What you have to understand is your inner child, right, is an aspect of your brain, right? Yes, and the state of your brain is reflected by the state of your body, right? Right, if you have a lot of trauma, it is reflected in your body, how you hold your body, things like that, how you walk, how you talk. One thing that you can do is offer compassion to your mind, because your prime perspective is actually directly from your heart. That is the nucleus of who you are, right? That is your spirit's perspective, right? Anchored and aligned. So if you're tapped into that in any given moment, you can, from that place, literally offer compassion to your mind, right? Your mind is the one that is always chit-chatting, is always telling you what to be afraid of telling you of what your limitations are, of telling you why you're not good enough, right? Or why you don't deserve this, right? That's so sad. Imagine a child who had that dialogue. What would you do? You would offer them compassion. You would comfort them. Okay? So that child is up here and that loving adult is here in your heart. So what you do, you offer love and compassion to your heart. So just visualize offering compassion to your mind. Your mind is trying to help you. Your mind isn't out to kill you. It doesn't think that anyways. But if it gets the best of you, sometimes, you know, it does do a lot of damage and it will not stop until you are out. That doesn't mean its intentions aren't pure. Just like a child who is wild and, doesn't really know boundaries yet and is disruptive and maybe even physically harmful, they don't know that that's bad yet. Do they deserve love? Of course they deserve love. That's why they deserve love. And that's why they need love. And so does your mind. So give that love to your mind because it deserves it. And that goes for all of you, all of us. Okay? And thank you for this question. So, yes, there is an attachment. Don't be afraid of it. It's, any person who's ever come to me with trauma, it has an attachment. How do you get rid of the attachment is not by focusing on it as an attachment. It's just understanding that that attachment is a mirror of your unconscious mind. Okay? It's a mirror of your unresolved pain, of your unresolved grief, of your unresolved, and grief comes in many forms. It's not just, of loved ones who have passed away. It's also of like, you can be grieving your inner child who didn't get a chance to be a child, Grief comes in so many different forms. I often just like talking about trauma in the form of grief because I think it can be more relatable. Not everybody has, an acute traumatic experience, like a very aggressive or physically, violent experience. Not everybody has that kind of trauma, but it seems like everybody does have trauma. So where does that come from? It comes from that suppressed grief, that unresolved grief that we haven't let go of, that aspect of ourselves that is still longing for something that, we've cast away and we haven't fully processed the letting go, that, that is in the past, or we haven't fully come to terms with it. Maybe it's not in the past. Maybe we just think it's in the past, but, and that's why we're stuck in this state of grief. There's all these different components that you do need to unpack. So it does matter. It does matter to care about how you feel. It does matter to be self-aware, okay? Because being self-aware is being aware of your energy, and being aware of your energy is being aligned, and being the and being aligned is being in position for the best life that you are destined and made to live. Yes, you do have a destiny, and that destiny can only find you when you are in alignment for the energy of your destiny to flow to you freely through your channel. So we're going to jump into the next question here. Of course, the guides are flowing and we are just going to see what the next question that I am drawn to here is. I'm just scrolling. Okie jokes. Okay. Okay, so this question is illuminating here. This is from Annalisa Dove. So Annalisa says, my grandmother, who I loved very, very much, recently passed away. I've been curious about her aura color and any ET connections, if she has any. Any other advice or messages you have on grief would be amazing too. But if not, no worries. Much appreciation, Cody. That is very synchronistic, talking about grief, because we just mentioned grief. So I see a theme developing here. We will just go with the flow, and I did want to do this reading first for your grandmother, for you about your grandmother. So I'm just opening your photos here that you have So her aura color is yellow, bright yellow, and secondary baby pink. And we'll see that sort of baby pink energy come in a lot as a secondary in children, okay? And also in elderly people, okay? Both men and women. It's sort of like when the hardness of an adult personality softens as they get a bit older. They're more attuned to a higher frequency, is more sensitive. Pink is a spiritual, emotional aura color, okay? Part of just like the blues and the purples, right? Pinks are also a spiritual, emotional color. They're sensitive, they're intuitive, they're psychic, especially baby pink. They're very quaint, right? It has that quaint quality. So that's a secondary color to her yellow. And the yellows are very diverse. They can be a little bit different. They can be more versatile. They could be more open, more social, more engaged with people. Also still grounded and very, useful. Like they're kind of good anywhere, like, they are just, they can be good in many different work environments, but they like to have fun, okay? Whatever they're working on, they like to find the fun in it, you know what I mean? So, and that's what her aura colors are. And let's just see in terms of, I just want to see, did you ask about star connections? Any ET connections? Okay, doke. Well, she does have Pleiadian. Okay, hold on. I just wanted to, there's something coming through about that. I just want to say something. She has a couple different connections, smaller ones and more, but the prime one that's coming through for her, the higher consciousness one, is the Pleiadian. So it's a Pleiadian consciousness that she is connected to, that she was attuned to. That is the higher consciousness. Now there's many different types of other consciousness, types of beings that she has, interacted with. But definitely Pleiadian is the prime consciousness that she works with. And that doesn't surprise me, because I know you also are connected to a lot of Pleiadian energy as well. And these ironically, they do tend to run in families. The lineage of, races of these extraterrestrial consciousness, it is common sometimes if you have a Pleiadian mother that your kids might be Pleiadian as well. That does happen. It's not always a case, okay? But it can happen for sure. See here. And any other messages on grief would be amazing. So they're bringing me to a message that I heard that they made me hear, right? Because your guides will do this, right? They open your ears up at opportune moments, that they know is an opportunity to get through a message that they want you to hear. I heard someone say before that, and this was on television, I can't remember who said this, but it was just like any other person. But it just goes to show, right? Grief is a part of everyone's life, every person's life, not just a spiritual teacher or a therapist or psychiatrist. Grief is a part of everyone's life. Loss is a part of everyone's life. And this person was saying, you can kind of measure the growth of, someone becoming a grown adult or growing up in life, even past adulthood, you can kind of measure someone's growth and maturity based on how well they handle loss in their life and how well they keep handling loss in your life. Because loss and death really does, it's a lot of people's ultimate fear, either for themselves or for people, for their loved ones. They can't even fathom it, like their consciousness doesn't even take them there. So it'll take them to smaller fears. But what it whittles down to, is every one of us are, afraid of death and afraid of loss. And there's no easy way through processing loss and processing death in any form, but you do just get better and better at moving through that emotion and moving into acceptance and understanding there is transition. And when there is loss, there's always a rebirth, and there's always that cycle, and it always keeps happening, and it always keeps getting better each time. It doesn't get better each time when we hold on to that thing that was lost, right? Because that's the resistance. So when we think about death and grief being painful, it's really not painful. What's painful is being afraid of letting go of that which we've lost. Letting go of that idea, letting go of that identity of who you were with that person or with that thing in your life. Maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was someone in your family, maybe it was a dog, an animal, right? A pet. It takes a lot to readjust to the new energy of who you are. Energetically as well, there are, emotional tethers to beings on a physical level. We talk so much about auras in my group, and we have to understand there are many different levels of the aura. It's not just about colors. When we are emotionally connecting with someone, you are connected, with through your energy. And when you create bonds with people, you are creating cords with them. And when you lose someone that you're bonded with, those cords are severed. So there is sort of these cords that are just like loose wires, and they're raw and painful, and it takes a long time to reconcile with that, to feel that. And there is no thing that you can say that just makes grief and death easier. It is just about maybe hearing what you need to hear to settle into the awareness of what you already know, that life does go on, and that they never do truly leave you, that they are with you every time you think of them. Every time you think of them, they are here. She is here now. She's with you now. She comes through with a lot of warmth. I see a warm blanket, and I see just like covered around the legs, like the lower legs, like the shins and the ankles, and just like lots of warmth and love. Um, she's always here, and that goes for, I always like to tell people too, before we move on, about, when we lose people, like there are people actively in our lives that we miss, that we don't see every day, but they're still in our hearts because it's a thought. Our thoughts tell us that they are still in our lives even if we don't see them every day. So when we lose someone, it's not so much different. Like when you think of someone who is alive, you feel them in your heart. If you know, if you think of someone who's passed, you still feel them in your heart. Sometimes it's accompanied by that resistance because it hurts to accept that they're gone. But once that settles, you do feel their love, and you realize each time you think that, you are summoning them to you. And that's an important thing to remember just in life in general, loneliness really is a thought, because ultimately we're never alone. And it just helps to listen to whatever or whoever reminds you of that inherent knowing within you. Because we all know that ultimately, right? We're not alone. There's spirit, there is your ancestors with you. There is also those, people in your life that you don't contact every day. There are so many people that you can reach out to, and sometimes we don't, just because we know that they are there. They're always like a resource that we can draw on. And it's hard to not take advantage of that. But I did want to spend that moment talking about grief because I think it deserves that. So I am just tuning into anything. Okay, so Elena says, so what's coming up is star origins, psychic development, general, or any message, path contribution to the world. So you posted your photo here, Elena, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a reading here, okay? Because there is a message coming through for you. So the message is similar to the question earlier, in the sense that there is an attachment that you have in this photo. It's not super aggressive, but it does look like one that you have grown accustomed to, grown used to, acclimatized to, and sort of accepted. So you're in an environment right now in your life in which the people around you don't reflect the consciousness that you have accessed and would like to practice more. They show me you are connected to it. They show me that you do access it quite a lot, and they do speak to you quite a lot as well. Okay, they're trying to sometimes in like some, I mean, they're really trying it in sometimes more aggressive ways, and you will know it'll feel more aggressive if you have a lot of symptoms, physical ailments, okay? Um, can be a sign of like them aggressively trying to get through to you, but like you not being in a space where you're receptive to it. So there's that friction, like we talked about, that can create physical symptoms in your body as well as your mind, okay? So you're currently around a lot of people that don't reflect, again, the wisdom within you, the knowing within you, the consciousness within you. Um, and the message that they're trying to get through to you is that trust your instincts and trust your gut, trust your heart, and surround yourself with people who feel soft, feel light to your heart. So tune into your heart each time you connect to someone. And if it feels hard, if it feels harsh or constricting, try to steer away from them. They want to do this practice with you. What feels soft, what feels hard, tune into your heart and follow that as a compass, right? The way forward is what feels softer in your heart. If somebody makes you feel warm when you connect to them, you just sit, and it's just easier to sit in that space with them, okay? They want you to tune into your emotions more, okay? They don't want you, they said this is, I will say this, that it is pretty crucial for you to begin acknowledging your emotions more, feeling your emotions more, because if you do not do that, if you do not start prioritizing that more, it will get a lot, um, it will be a lot harder for you to do that in the future, okay? Because right now you're on a trail of thoughts and beliefs that don't belong to you. You're somebody who identifies with the phrase, my thoughts and my beliefs don't belong to me. Like the thoughts that you feel that make you judge yourself or others don't belong to you, right? Those are like the thoughts and beliefs of your parents, right? Or people in your family, influential people from your family or from growing up, you know? You can identify who those influential people are, right? From a young age, okay? So that was the message, you know, to keep in mind, okay? Okie doke. So we are just going to keep scrolling here. So Nathmini says, I had a question. I'm incredibly afraid of entities, ghosts, spirits, and I was just wondering whether that could get in the way of natural psychic abilities. Alrighty. I have experiences psychically, but they are intermittent and not in my control at all. Claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairsentience, and medium abilities are things I feel like I have experienced. Some more strong than others currently. I feel like as a child I had many experiences with beings, but I don't know whether that is true or not. Don't know whether it was in my head or not. And it absolutely terrified me. I feel like I saw a full-bodied apparition on the street coming home at night, and I hated that. I gaslighted myself on that to a certain degree because I'm not fully sure if I think I did. I'm still feeling scared of seeing things, and I use a lamp at night because I don't like not seeing the room I am in, especially in my own room. Any insight or advice for me, and maybe how I could lose resistance to these fears in me? Maybe people can relate to this. Much love and thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you, Nethmini. Like, that is a wonderful question, and I do agree that that is so relatable. So relatable. Okay? This reminds me so much. Like, I'm feeling you so much right now in my heart because I connect with that, especially when I was a kid. Oh boy. And I know a lot of people can connect with this as well. You know, so the first sentence, I am incredibly afraid of entities, ghosts, spirits, and I just was wondering whether that can get in the way of natural psychic abilities. Answer is yes. You are a channel, so any thoughts, any fears that you have, block that channel. Okay? Any doubt that you have blocks that channel. It's just like if you were to give a really important speech for college or for work. If you have doubt, you're blocking the stream of thoughts that will guide you through that meeting or that pitch or that examination, right? So the same thing goes with psychic abilities and psychic gifts, right? This is inherent to us. This is innate to us. We are practiced out of the awareness of it. We're practiced out of thinking it, which tunes us out of our awareness of it. And you might find the more that you have started having conversations with people about this, is the more maybe you would start noticing things. Maybe you'll start noticing more manifestations of energy or evidence of supernatural, right, quote unquote supernatural phenomena. That's because the more you talk about it, the more you are tuning into that frequency, the more you're tuning into that awareness. So the first thing is yes, being afraid of it will definitely get in the way. The other thing that I want to say here is you are somebody whose channel is very open. I want to see if you posted a picture here. You've posted, it's just a question here. But I can click your profile photo here. And yes, indeed. So you have a very, very active third eye, Nathmini. your third eye is open. And what that tells me, and this is like very similar to myself, is it's a combination of you tapping into the energy and activity that is around your presence, but perhaps being in an environment or around people where that conversation is not as normalized. So what happens is it leaves you in this dual awareness of like the consciousness of, you know, your peers, your family, your friends, right? Who don't maybe necessarily always speak about energy and spirits or accept it, and maybe the space that we are communicating in now. So that can be very confusing to the psyche, because on one side you are tapping into these energies, and on the other side you are, operating under the assumption that the only things that are real are what is physical. So it can be very terrifying, right? It's like if you were walking around the world with like somebody shadowing you the whole time, like a person just walking behind you the whole time, that every time you turn, like you keep missing them, you know? But you're like, okay, but I feel something is there. It's terrifying, and like you said, it can cause you to gaslight yourself. So that is a lot of what's happening. You definitely are tuning into spirits. You're tuning into energies, entities, right? But you are not, but you're afraid, right? So because of that fear, you're sort of blocking yourself or dissociating, right, out of your ability to see that. And that's important to know too, because a lot of us identify with this, right? They identify with feeling at some moments that they are, extremely tapped in, seeing spirits, feeling energy, feeling consciousness, feeling the movement, and just very, very tapped in, right? Sometimes you will feel that, and other moments you won't. Well, a great way to understand that is dissociation. You are dissociating out of that awareness. You are dissociating out of your highest awareness there is. It is a higher awareness because it is a higher vibration, and there is more consciousness in there than, where we are typically maybe operating on a day-to-day basis. So the idea is to not dissociate from that prime consciousness, right? Or divine perspective, I like to call it a lot of times. The idea is to practice it more, because what it will do is offer clarity to the energies that you're sensing around you, so that you're not projecting unconscious fears on there. When you raise your vibration, you're not controlled by your unconscious or subconscious mind. You are controlled by consciousness, the conscious awareness of you in your spirit's form, and in your optimal awareness altogether as well. Because even in your question, there is an implication. You can feel that there's a consciousness there. You said you know that you're claircognizant, clairvoyant, clairsentient. You have all of these abilities, and your question does certainly imply that you have a lot of awareness already. So it's almost like you do have the answers. It's just about practicing that awareness more and not feeling so alone in that awareness. It can be very lonely. Believe me, I know what that experience is like, to feel very alone in the way you perceive the world. A lot of people know this in many different forms. So you just keeping that in mind, I don't see anything that you need to be scared of. When I look at you, at least in your profile photo, these are your spirit guides. I don't see negative entities following you. You have a lot of light around you, and you have very, very powerful spirit guides. You really do. So I am just going to scroll through again here, see if there's any other questions, see how many I can kind of do here, any ones that are lighting up. Okay. So I'm getting this question from, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. It's Phuong T and then hyphen THAL Maraza. Okay, Phuong Tao Maraza. And your question says, I would like some guidance on how I should go about finding the right place to settle, where all my needs will be met. Okay. I struggle with lacking resources, instability, lostness, powerlessness, loneliness, depression, not being able to move forward with life. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Jokes. Okay. So, in relation to this, I just want to tell you what they had me tell you. Okay, what they spoke. So, they said you are a person with a tremendous amount of creative power and energy. Okay, you are a propeller and there is a lot of passion. Okay, this is so invaluable. There are so many people who would pay so much money for passion. Passion, 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 passion. When we're talking about energy, what feels like a powerful energy? Passion. Passion has a lot of energy behind it. And how do we get things to move in our life? How do we get things to happen? How do we get things to manifest? Right? We need a lot of energy to set it in motion. You have a lot of passion and you are going through a massive awakening phase in your life right now. It's important to know awakening is continuous for the rest of your life. It's not just like, oh, I had an awakening when I was 19. Guess what? You're going to have another awakening soon. And then another one again, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. Because that is why we're here. We're here to keep awakening to our multidimensional selves, to more there's so many more things to awaken to in this universe, and then just alone about yourself, about your desires, about your what's unconsciously blocking you from all the things that you want in your life. There's so many more and more and more things for you to awaken to, so you will continue awakening. But that being said, you are in a massive awakening phase in your life right now, so things are going to continue opening and opening for you. So you are somebody that needs to put yourself out there now. Okay, putting yourself out there, like go to workshops, go to retreats, meet people, meet people, connect with people. For you specifically, Phuong, okay? You need to, the energy that you're occupying right now is something that people would be able to connect with, okay? Have good boundaries, okay? Because we don't want, cords and attachments and all these kinds of things. So have good boundaries to the degree that you can. Don't punish yourself, if you're not always at your best, right? We all are like that, but it's really important for you to meet and connect with people, like-minded people, and create, okay? So if inspiration flows with you, okay? That's apparent with your energy. So when you feel the flow of that inspiration come, use it, because inspiration does die. It does die. It's like a flame, right? It's like a match that you light, and then it just, the longer you hold it, it's going to go out soon. But it's very powerful and it's very potent. So you need to jump on those opportunities, eliminate self-doubt. You have self-doubt, okay? That is something that you're going to want to get rid of, okay? Trust yourself, okay? Also, energy behind passion drives you, okay? This is law of attraction. Everything is law of attraction. Everything is energy. Everything is attraction, okay? So when you have passion in you, you are actively attracting from that place. And the reason why you're passionate about it is because you love it so much, because you're inspired by it. So use that inspiration, use that passion, and use that creativity to conjure something special in your life, because the reason those energies are coming in is because it is leading you somewhere. Okay? This is so important. Okay? Keep that in mind, please, 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 please. And thank you for your question. A lot of people will be grateful for that. So this next question is from Ashley. So Ashley, hi Ashley. Ashley says, I was curious on an ET update for myself with the grays around me, and also an energetic update on the world, why everything has been so different on and off, if hidden technologies will start to be revealed. So first, I will just get into you, Ashley. So the grays are most definitely, your guides are still your ET guides. You're very much an ET being, okay? Your guides are definitely contacting you a lot. For you specifically, Ashley, yeah, they are coming through with a lot of downloads, okay? A lot of very, very high frequency energy, okay? Make sure I know you're such a busy, just diligent mother and wife, and I know you do so much, right? So to the degree that you can, definitely prioritize rest your mind, do the meditations, okay? Once a day. They're coming through with a lot of downloads, and it's just going to help anchor these very, very high vibrational frequencies. It's sort of like what you tell someone who's just come out of surgery or a procedure. It's like, rest, rest and recuperate, but it's not just about rest, it's like integrate, because okay, and I'm not sure if I've said this to you explicitly before, but I mean, they want you to be a channel. They're trying to open you up to being a channel. They're trying to clear out all of the self-doubt and all of the hindering beliefs and belief systems out of the way, so that you can make way for channeling these guides for you and for people around you. Not to the degree that you want to. You don't need to do this for everyone, but you do have a gift, and it may be something that you'd be able to offer family, and even certain family maybe, and certain friends, okay, friends and community members, other people who are awakening, who are trying to awaken. Also your animals, you're a healer. You can heal animals as well. So use this as well, okay, when you feel guided, okay, your horses, okay. These are things that you really want to not just know, but use, okay? Because you're practicing that energy, and it's just like when a faucet you haven't used for a while isn't turning on right away. It's like you have to gotta keep using it, or like a car engine. If you don't use the car for a while and it's in the winter, it'll just stop driving. You know what I mean? You gotta take it for a stroll around the block once. You gotta practice it so that it keeps going. And I know you probably do. So keep up the good work, and definitely just prioritize the meditation, the calming, relaxation, meditation, sleep, rest, whatever recuperates you, okay? Because, and I say that specifically because it can really make this difficult. Third eye. And when third eye is out of balance, it's not just like you're seeing weird things. It's not necessarily even that. It's just like mental distress or dysfunction or confusion or self-doubt, things like that. That's what a blocked third eye usually will represent for most people. Fear sometimes. Fear of seeing extraterrestrials or spirits, also fear of the future, fear of the past. There's all different ways, that may manifest, okay? think we have time for one more question. So this final question is from Yelena, and Yelena says, "Hello, darling Cody and everybody. This one has been working so hard the past year, been clearing so much old junk, also from past lives, and I still have the San Pedro medicine in my field from the ceremony last weekend. So yes, I have wanted to see if things have changed in my aura and if there are things coming through for me to hear. Love, Jay." Well, hello, Yelena. So this is Yelena with a J, different Yelena than the last one. Okay? And happy to channel for you today, Yelena. So first things first, you did leave a photo, so thank you so much for that. If you're interested, I don't know if you know or not, you may know, but your aura color is indigo. So they typically have a very high consciousness because they are very, very emotionally intelligent. They are absorbent in almost every way. They are absorbent in how they learn information, right? They absorb information more than in such a kind of direct way. They are absorbent of emotions. They are very highly empathic because of this. And they develop, again, a very high emotional intelligence because of the way they are just like sponges in the world, you know? So they are very gifted, you know? If they can find being empowered, if they can find empowerment in their lives. My aura color is also indigo. I have a lot of indigo in me. That's my primary aura color, okay? And you can have different aura colors in your field at various different moments. You can pull in different colors for different reasons, you know, and most people do. Like for hard labor, you know, people will pull in red, and that will help. The red energy helps assist with a lot of that physical labor, the real hands-on stuff, right? And you know, some people will pull in violet or like crystal for, you know, while they're channeling, you know. Most people will pull in a variation of blue, royal blue, light blue, when they are talking, emotionally communicating with other people. Okay, so that's just for everyone else. Elena, you may know this already. So I do want to say, what's interesting about plant medicines, and San Pedro is a plant medicine, for those of you who don't know, um, I've talked a lot about ayahuasca and my experiences doing ayahuasca and just how transformative it was and what it did for my spirit and my soul and just all around in my life. And one thing I find very fascinating about it is, of course, it's not just a medicine, it's not just a plant, it is a spirit. And many times, and you'll hear this from many, many people, you know, when you take these plant medicines like San Pedro, like ayahuasca, you can actually communicate with the spirit and consciousness of this plant, and it will guide you. And it does take you on a journey, and it is unbelievable, you know? And it's a little bit like, you know, with the holidays approaching, it feels like a little bit like Scrooge being taken on a journey through his consciousness of the past, you know, the ghost of Christmas past, and seeing all of these different memories in your lifetime. Like ayahuasca will do that for you, you know? And it's not always what you want to see, but it's what you need to see. And it's one of those things, and it is a spirit. And what's fascinating is it does stay in your field, it does linger in your field for quite some time afterward. And there are effects because, you know, it is an energy in your field. And as we know, especially indigos, right? Especially sensitive people, right? Star seeds. Most of you guys are blue spectrum or purple spectrum, which are all sensitive colors. So you will be able to detect when there is a different energy in your field. And I do see San Pedro in your field, and it's a male energy. That's what's interesting is ayahuasca is like a woman. It's like felt like a woman and was like the spirit of the wind, you know? It was like is so incredible. So powerful. I'm getting chills right now just feeling it. And And I definitely feel that energy with you, you know. And what's interesting is it may actually be a grounding energy for you, San Pedro, having that in your field, maybe like warmth, maybe comforting, maybe even fatherly in many ways. So just allow it to integrate your energy. Follow its guidance, you know, in the sense of like if it's calling you to, you know, lay a little bit lower and not overwhelm yourself or overstimulate yourself, you know, definitely pay attention to that, listen to that. That's really, really important. You know, listen to your body. That's one of the things that I'm getting here as well related to this, because that's like a lot of the intention behind this ceremony for you was like getting you in your body, feeling the energy in your body, grounding in your body, loving who you are in your body, right? Being anchored to your loving being here in this world, right? Loving being a human and looking forward to being here as you, because you are here and you will be here for quite some time, okay? Um, Substances are fine for you. You know, I mean, it's fine, you know, in moderation. It is a reminder that, you know, substances of any sort, let's just use that as a blanket statement, whether it's marijuana, whether it's San Pedro, whether it's, you know, any sort of mind altering substance, they can be very helpful to you. It can be very mind expanding. Um, but if it's used too much, it can kind of throw you off of your instincts, right? Because you know, if you are doing things that are altering your mind, you know, after a long period of time, it's going to become more you're you're numbing yourself from your instincts, right? You're numbing yourself from that intuition, and over time you may become over reliant on that, you know, and it can just become more difficult for you to access that sort of on your own, you know? So just a little reminder, I'm sure you're aware of this on some level, okay? But they did want me to let you know, like, you know, some of, hold on, let's see here. What's difficult sometimes with these substances, not this one in particular, but if there are other ones, you know, you know, for I think I'm getting this message for in terms of marijuana for other people who may use that substance who are watching this video. Again, these substances can open you up, but what it really is doing, again, it's altering your mind, but it's also releasing resistance. So it's releasing resistance and releasing those thoughts that are in the way from you receiving your intuition, your awareness, all of these different aspects and facets of who you are, you know. What can happen if you smoke weed too much is essentially it can open you up, but then you are in like a lower state of mind, a lower state of being afterward, where it's harder to detect what your instincts or your intuition is trying to tell you. In the beginning, in the releasing of the resistance, you may have an epiphany, right? But then it can be difficult to sort of hold on to that when you have taken a substance that is literally designed to alter your mind and dictate your experience, right? It's literally guiding you out of thinking those it's out of being in conscious control. So it can be difficult to consciously choose your intuition, choose your happiness, choose your well being when those substances are influencing your sovereignty in those choices, if that makes sense. So it's just a little cautionary tale, you know, moderation is fine, you know, it's actually maybe even encouraged to, you know, once in a while, maybe once every few years, or you know your limits, you know, everybody does. everybody's a little bit a little bit different. But it's just important to not like get too hung up on that, as like a long-term thing. I just want to see if there's anything else. It's if you do too much of that, it can suppress, Elena, it can suppress some of your creativity. Other substances, even if it's anything at all, like marijuana or alcohol or anything related to that. Not to say that you do any of that, but I am covering all the bases because this is a public video and I think people would be interested, to know that in general. Just little reminders around that. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, just keep that in mind, okay? I think some of what we just spoke about, may have, maybe something that you may resonate with or may have spoken to you in a key way, Okie dokes. So let's see if there's any like last minute like quick reads we can do here. This has been so lovely being able to connect with all of you on here. Okay, and I'm so sorry again if I did not get to your question this time. Again, I will be doing more of these, so you can keep posting your questions on the Divine Creators with Cody Facebook group, and I'll do other forums, like other posts where you can, keep asking your questions on there as well. Well, I just wanted to thank you all sincerely with all of my heart for all of your support and all of your community interactions and connection. It honestly just makes me feel so warm in my soul every time I just open up this group and I just see all of you. I feel all of you too. This is an illusion, and when I gather and do these videos, I do feel all of you with me, and that is a really special thing. Awakening to vibration and awakening to emotion and frequency and spirituality. What it does is it awakens you to the reality that we are always connected and that we are never truly alone. And when I think back at like the last 7 or 8 years of my life, I do think that that is probably the most important takeaway, is that you can never really actually be alone once you awaken to energy and your energy and the nature of this universe. So I wanted to thank you all again for all of your support. So I have like this huge thing that's happening and I'm so excited and thrilled and all of these emotions are coming up and fear and all of these other things. It's so scary, but it's amazing and wonderful, and it's exactly what I need. And I know you can all resonate with this, right? Things that you're afraid of that you have to do too. So I wrote a book and I have a campaign to help me release this book. So if you'd like to be a part of that campaign, I have a GoFundMe page, GoFundMe. I don't know the link specifically, but if, I will link the GoFundMe if you want to help me get my book out there in the world. And if you want to be a part of that process, you can see how you can directly be a part of that, be a part of the book, even, various different elements in it, as well as just me getting it out there. I would be more than honored and more than privileged. And yeah, you can find that link. I guess I'll put that in the description here of this video. If you feel called, if you feel guided, and if that feels okay within your heart, okay? There's no obligation. There are many ways to support other people without offering monetary assistance. That being said, thank you all for your love, for your support. You can just share the campaign as well. You can share this video. I have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/divinecreators. If you are interested in direct channeling, healing, activations, real ET talk, ET literal transmissions, everything under the sun related to that is over on my Patreon. And you can actually ask me questions as well. If you're on the Starseed tier, I will like answer a question directly for you. There's all different fun things that we can do there. I also, sometimes I'll post like other things like art or music, binaural codings. Some of that is also on the Divine Creators with Cody Singh Facebook group. So just a little reminder there for you guys. My website is www.codysingh.com. And yeah, everybody, like, what a beautiful and amazing and expansive evening that we all share together. I am honored with all of my soul. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sending you so much love and enjoy your evenings. Take care. Bye bye.